All right, now we're ready to put the coil and rotor assembly back on. Some other jazz with the alarm clock we got to think about. First of all, don't forget the spring. Okay, this is the spring that goes, it's number 16, called the time set shaft spring. Goes on the time set shaft assembly number 14. That's going to be this one right over here. Okay. Next thing we got to remember to do is to put this number 19, known as the alarm shut off lever assembly, back where it goes. Now this is kind of tricky and it's kind of weird, but you see this little bit hanging down right here. That's going to go into that hole. So we're going to put it in like this, and then we've got to kind of lift this part and sneak this over it like that, and then we should be able to slide it backwards. So that is just an awkward thing, but there's enough give that it can be done. So I'm gonna keep it in the back position for now. The next thing that we need to do is we need to put the rotor on. So the rotor has this little gear right here, and that little gear is going to go through this hole in the base plate, and this little gear is going to mesh with the gears that you see right inside of there. Okay, so blow this up so you can see the gears I'm talking about. They're going to mesh with these gears right here. Okay. So, easiest way to do this is just to take the rotor, put that little gear through the hole, and then just kind of move it around until it seats in there, and the gears will mesh together, and it's all set. Okay, so the next thing is we've got to put the spreader posts on. They're identified as number 20. And the spreader posts, this style is very common. Okay, and they're going to go on over these sort of brass rivets in the base plate like this. Okay, now when you look at the coil, this is what you'll see when it's on there. So the spreader posts are actually on the back here, and one of them goes like that, and the other one goes like that. All right, so we can put them down on there that way before we add the coil. What I found happens is they usually move when I'm putting the field screws down in there. So I don't worry about their position until I've got the field screws down a little bit, and when it starts to grab, then I push them into place. So now we're going to put the coil on here. Remember, this hole is just going to go over the back of the rotor here. A couple things we got to remember. This post right here is going to go into this hole right here. So we got to line that up. Also, the alarm clock, we're going to have the time set shaft is going to need to come through that bracket on that side. The alarm set shaft is going to have to go through that bracket on that side. And I've got to make sure that the post sticking through the back plate is lined up. And then it should just set down on there. What's holding the rotor in place is the field screws, which are passing through the spreader posts and going into the threaded part of the back plate. I oftentimes take a piece of wood, like a toothpick kind of situation, and make sure I got everything lined up before I go in there with the screwdriver. So this one I can tell is not lined up, so I'll just make sure I got that lined up, make it a little bit easier. And now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to tighten this down until it grabs, and when I feel it start to tighten, I'm going to make sure I push this tab into place, in the right place. Not quite down far enough yet. Okay, so this one like that, and then this one over here. And this one over here should be on the top. And then I'm just gonna tighten the field screws down. And field screws, they don't need to be overly tight. They got, you know, the lock washers on them. Get them good and snug, and that should do the job. And then the last thing that we have to do at this stage is we have to put the time set knob and the alarm set knob back on. So this is the time set shaft, and remember the time set knob is reverse threaded, so it would be righty tighty, it's going to be lefty tighty. So we've got to turn this counterclockwise to get it to go on there. All right, and the alarm set shaft was regular thread, so we should be able to just put it on there and turn it clockwise to get it to go on there. Now I might tighten these up with my padded pliers at some point, but this is what we need to do at this point. And now what should happen is when I turn the alarm set shaft, it should turn gears inside the clock, and I should hear a click. That click is where the alarm would go off. So I got that going on. So now I'm going to go over and try the time set shaft. And this style, what you have to do to set the time is pull the time set shaft backwards. So that's what I'm going to do, and then turn it counterclockwise, and I can see inside of there that the gears are turning. So everything's looking good. And what we're going to do next is we're going to add the face and the hands, and we're going to also add the alarm hand and set it up so the alarm is synced up with the time, and then when you set the alarm, it'll go off at the time you want it to.